Welcome to Minute Fact Monday, where I take a minute or so to discuss interesting topics. Each month has a unique name, but there are some names that our current months once had that didn't stick around. Some were made by leaders of Rome, others were made by Charlemagne, and then there are also those used by the Anglo-Saxons, many of which we will be covering here. So let's take a quick look at the first quarter of the year. And disclaimer, I might not be pronouncing all of these words correctly. First, we start out with a month that was lost altogether. Mercedonius, meaning the work month. It was inserted after February every few years to make up for lost days within the calendar, making roughly a 377 or 378 days long year. The Julian calendar, implemented under Julius Caesar, removed it altogether. January comes from the Roman god of doors, time, and beginnings, the literally two-faced Janus. In Britain, the Anglo-Saxons called it after Yule in Old English, connected to the pre-Christian 12-day Yule-tide holiday, starting around the winter solstice in December and ending in early January. Charlemagne would create his own names for his calendar in Old High German. This calendar, based mostly around agriculture, simply called January winter month. Commodus, who led the Roman Empire starting around the year 177, renamed all the months too. He called January Lucius, likely coming from the month Lucius Varus died, who co-ruled with Commodus's father, Marcus Aurelius, who was an adopted brother of Lucius, who was heirless. Whew, that is a lot of S's. February likely comes from the Latin word to purify and or purge, Februare. There are a lot of variations of this word. It was connected to a holiday at the time, Lupercalia, which was celebrated during the middle of the month. The Anglo-Saxons called this month either Cake Month or Mud Month. The translation is a bit complicated, with the same word referring to two very different things. Mud may have been used to refer to the weather in England, but there has been evidence that the word for mud, sol, was also used for little bread items, hearth cakes, which were used as offerings for a good year, and a lot more fun and tasty than mud. Charlemagne would call February Hornug, which was around the time deer in France would start losing their antlers, which does in fact happen mostly around that time. This guy's great. Commodus had February named Aelius, likely named for Lucius Aelius, the predecessor to Lucius Varus. March comes from the Roman god Mars. March used to be the month that started the new year, a time for when the early Romans would resume war. But January and February would be moved up starting around 153 BCE. The early Anglo-Saxons called March Herthmona, Hertha being their fertility goddess, the one who the month could have been named after. Or it could have been named after their word for victory and glory, hearth. This could reflect the war theme that has been associated with the month. That said, here we have Charlemagne popping in again, keeping things simple, calling the month Spring Month, Lentzenmanath. And lastly, we have Commodus, once again keeping things in the family. He named the month of March Aurelius, after his father, who just so happened to die in March. And that is where we'll leave things for today. Next week, we get to meet some new people tossing names into the mix, and definitely breaking the 1 minute mark again. My question for all of you is, what would you personally rename any of these 3 months? My name's Dale, this is Think Fact, and remember, never stop learning. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again. If you have any recommendations for facts to use in the future, please go to my Discord and submit them there. If I choose yours, I'll give you a shout out at the end of the video.